to sort of kickstart the next few weeks, and and hopefully I can find that little spark that I found last year and go on and play well from here until the Tour Championship.
All right, great. We'll go right into questions. Let's start right back here.
Hey, Rory, Butch Stearns, Boston 25, and I just have a quick follow-up. Do you have any strong Boston connections? Are you friends with any particular athletes here?
Not really. I was sponsored by Bose for quite a while, which are obviously a Boston-based company, and got to know a lot of the guys there. So, but that's really it. I mean, obviously there's a lot of Irish here, a lot of Irish connections, so I feel like I always get a pretty decent support. But no real. I mean, I guess Tom Brady, but it's more. Do you class him as boss? I mean, obviously he is, but yeah, I wouldn't say I'm I'm not a fan of any team, but it's not as if I would follow Boston sports more closely than anything else. But I feel like I've always had a good support here, and that's probably just to do with the Irish connection.
Quick follow-up I had was, when you play in a pro-am, is there one bit of common advice you end up giving amateurs when you play with them?
Yeah, just don't try and do too much. I think they sort of play the shot that they can pull off maybe once out of 10 times instead of pulling off, or trying to hit the shot that they can pull off 7 or 8 times out of 10. That's the thing, and that's a boring answer. But it's sort of, I feel like if I could caddy for some of these amateurs we play with every Wednesday, or obviously Thursday today, if I could caddy for them for 18 holes, I'd be able to shave 5 or 6 strokes off the round straight away just by decisions and course management.
All right, front row, and then Rex.
Rory over here, Kevin Walsh, NBC Boston. This injury that you're nursing, playing through it, is part of it you wanted to recapture some of the magic that you captured here last year and maybe get on a good run?
Part of it. I mean, I'd hate to think that I'll end this year without a win. I've got 4 tournaments left really until I can, hopefully make that happen. Here, Chicago, Atlanta, and then 1 back over in Europe. So just be nice to get a win before I shut it down for a while. But yeah, I feel like I'm capable. It's not as if I'm out there and I'm hurting myself or I'm making it any worse. I feel like I can still go out there and compete. So if you can do that, why not give it a go? I guess that's my thinking.
All right, let's go to Rex over on the side.
Roy, why do you think this golf course fits your game so well, like you mentioned before? And have you had a chance to play it this week?
No, so I'm playing in the Pro-Am at 150, so that'll be the first time I get to look at it, and the first time I'll get to see these changes on 12 and 13. I don't know what it is. I think it's you have to take advantage of the par 5s. There's certain holes out here that are gettable, and you have to birdie them. I think I basically birdied every par 5 last year, pretty close to it. And then there's just there's some really strong par 4s. I think all the par 3s are very strong. It's a nice mix of par 5s that you can score on, tough par 4s, which I'm usually pretty good at, and then tough par 3s. I think that sets up well for my game. It's more of a ball striker's golf course than anything else, and I think that's what I've done so well, the 2 times that I've won here.
All right, let's go to Tom in the back, and then right here on the aisle.
Rory, since you're talking about the par 5s, what's your basic strategy to play the 18th hole? Do you try anything in practice rounds that you put into play during the tournament?
Not really. I think it's one of those holes where it sort of dictates to you where you hit it. Depending on what way the wind is, it's usually either a 3-wood or a driver, just straight over that middle bunker. Everything sort of kicks down to the right, and then you're leaving yourself in anything from sort of a 5-iron to a 3-wood, depending on wind conditions and stuff. So, but usually if you get a good tee shot away, you try and go for that green. If the pin's on the left-hand side, you try and miss it on the right, and the pin's on the right-hand side, you try and miss it on the left. It's a pretty severe green, so it's just really being aware of where that pin placement is, and if you do go for the green, where the easiest up and down is.
Okay, right here.
Rory, given the great amount of success you've had here, fair to say you'd be disappointed if this tournament fell by the wayside, along with the proposed reordering of tournaments?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens in the future. But you know, of the courses that we have coming up, I definitely feel most comfortable on this one. So if I didn't get myself into the mix, it would definitely be a lost opportunity. And as you said, we'll have to see what happens in the future. But hopefully we keep coming back to the Boston area, because I think it's one of the the best attended and best supported events of the year, and it's always a good atmosphere, and all the guys like to play here.
All right, Doug.
Two things. Do you prefer Starbucks or Dunkin Donuts?
Starbucks.
Yes.
Good answer in these parts. Secondly, what kind of job do you think the FedEx Cup has done in identifying the best player of the year? And have you ever thought about what tweaks you might make under a shorter postseason?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. I won the Player of the Year in 12 and 14 and didn't win the FedEx Cup. So, I think it definitely it rewards people that play well this time of the year, that get hot in the playoffs. Look, you could have a football team that goes 16-0 during the regular season and gets beaten in the first round of the playoffs, and they go home. So they should be probably the best team of the year, but they get beaten in one match, and all of a sudden they're not going to the Super Bowl. So it's a tough one. Yes, we do. So it's a tough one. I mean, I definitely didn't feel like I played my best golf last year, but I got hot at the right time and won the FedEx Cup. So I think that's the excitement of it. It's volatile, and you can move up and you can move down, and I think the guys sort of like that, because it gives them a chance to make the most of what maybe hasn't been a great year, but it always gives an advantage to the guys that are up the top of the rankings to, they start at 1 and 2, or they start at whatever. You look at Jordan and Dustin last week, they've played some of the best golf all year. Those two are up there at the end of the week. So, but it's always an exciting finish. I've been a part of a few of them, and I've been on the wrong side of it a couple of times. I was on the right side of it, but I don't know if I would tweak it that much. It's hard. Like in 12 and 14, I was cursing that how much the Tour Championship was weighted, and how much that sort of slightly differed the result. But then last year I was loving it, because it's like I went from 6th and I won it, and all of a sudden I won $10 million. Great. So so it works both ways.
All right, right here, second row.
Rory, it's been a month now since you made the change on the bag. Has the change in voice given you something that that you were lacking?
I don't know if I wouldn't say I was lacking. I was I was just getting increasingly frustrated for the wrong reasons. And I think having Harry on the bag, it definitely, I've been happier. I've been a little more jovial out there. I haven't been getting as hard on myself, and that can only help. So that's sort of, if anything, that's what has helped over these past few weeks, is just sort of taking things in my stride. If I hit a bad shot, forget about it, talk about something else, and then try and just keep going.
All right, over here, Mike.
Rory, you kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but your results coming into this event are very similar to your results coming into last year's event. Do you see it as like the same situation, or because of the injuries and the other changes, is it somewhat different than last year?
I see it as a similar situation. I feel like I'm still very capable of winning, one or two of these next 3 events, and giving myself a chance to win the FedEx Cup. I don't feel like I'm limited at all on the golf course. I'm a little sore. I'm a little stiff when I wake up in the mornings after I play and after I, practice a little bit, but it doesn't hinder me while I'm out there. So I feel like it's a very similar position to where I was last year.
All right, anything else? All right, Rory McIlroy. Now, let's take one more for Tia.
Rory, you said you are not fan to any club. Are you fan of yourself then?
Yeah, I like to think so. Yeah, I think you have to be. There's a balance of you have to be very. You have to believe in what you do, and you have to have belief in yourself. But at the same time, you have to be able to critique something that isn't working, or and take it from both sides. You have to be able to take the praise and take that, or give yourself praise, but also give yourself criticism when it's needed. So, yeah, I think everyone has to be a fan of themselves. I mean, you have to. If you don't like yourself, who can you like? I guess so.